You guys know that one of the things I hate about America, as someone who is a YouTuber that doesn't drive, is how overwhelmingly car dependent America is. Everything is centered around cars. We have a car culture bigger than shit, and you don't even realize how big it is until you've been somewhere where it doesn't exist. One of the biggest wake-up calls for me was when I was watching a European travel YouTuber who had gone to America for the first time and rented an RV to go road tripping across the entire country just to, see it for the first time and experience it. One of the things she realized and, kind of hit her very quickly was how car-centric everything is. Everything is built around cars. Massive parking lots, drive-thrus, everything is drive-through. Everything is meant for cars. Nothing is meant for walking or any other form of public transport. It's all built around people and their private cars being able to drive. And their way of managing the amount of car congestion there is also very bent out of shape. They just add more lanes. This really opened my eyes up to how fucked up compared to other countries, especially in Europe, American car dependency is. And a channel that I've been recommended a lot and have been wanting to take a look at for a while called Not Just Bikes focuses on these issues. There'll be a link down in the top pinned comment of this video to this video that we're going to be reacting to, but it's called what is the exact name of it? Strodes are ugly, expensive, and dangerous, and they're everywhere. I imagine we'll be explained to what a strode is in a moment, but yeah, I'm super excited to check out this video. I've been meaning to watch it for a while because it popped up in my recommended, and a chatter just reminded me it existed. So let's take a look.
This is the 5th video in my Strongtown series. You don't need to watch the others to understand this one, but it might provide some context.
Series, okay.
If you live in the US or Canada, then this will certainly look familiar to you. Multiple lanes of car traffic, wide highway-sized lanes, giant signs, traffic lights, parking lots, lots of driveways and side streets with traffic merging in and out. And a place that's nearly impossible to cross as a pedestrian. There isn't even a sidewalk.
You have to find a crosswalk, which could be miles apart.
These are what Strongtowns refers to as strodes, which is a horrible name, and that's intentional because these are horrible places. Strodes are a street-road hybrid, and they are dangerous, expensive, and ineffective. I'll get to those issues in a moment, but first, let's talk about the difference between a street and a road, according to Strongtowns. This is a road. It is a high-speed connection between two places.
We have a lot of those.
Because of the high speeds involved, there are several safety features. The lanes are wide and forgiving, so that vehicles do not bump into each other.
What the fuck is
The road is as straight as possible, and when curves are necessary, they're designed to be gentle, making it easy to drive along. The area next to the road, called the clear zone, is free of any obstacles that could be hit, just in case a vehicle runs off the road. The signs are very large, designed to be read from a distance and at high speeds. And entrances and exits are few and far between because the road is designed to keep vehicles at a high speed for as long as possible to minimize travel times. Roads are important. We need roads, though I personally prefer my roads to have rails. This is a street. It is a complex environment where life in the city happens. Buildings are placed right next to the sidewalk to be easily accessible by people walking, and it gives a sense of space, almost like an outdoor room. This is a place that feels comfortable to be in, so you find people here. There are many entrances and exits to and from the street, and there may also be street parking for vehicles and deliveries. This is an environment meant for slow speed.
These are so nice. There's a lot of this in Seattle. There's a lot of this type of street in Seattle. It's a little bit, muddled by the fact that there's a lot of lanes on the roads. So there's a lot of car traffic, but you can actually walk. There are big sidewalks. There are businesses everywhere. It's very walkable. Really, the only place you can find this kind of thing is in American dense cities. Not even your mid-sized cities necessarily, but dense cities. Other than that, maybe small town downtown. If you're in a smaller town and there's some restaurants and other businesses with apartments on top, you could live there and then maybe you can have a pretty walkable lifestyle without a car, but it's just almost non-existent in America. Zan sounds uncomfortable even saying the word street. Really? Okay.
It's because this is a destination, not a thoroughfare. High-speed traffic is not compatible with lots of human activity, so vehicle speeds are reduced. Everything on the street is at a human scale.
Yeah, the street is
It's
a
designed to be
destination.
inviting, encouraging people to walk, to window shop, or to just sit and watch the world go by. The street is designed to get the most value out of the space available. Streets are very
efficient.
important, and we definitely need streets. A strode, on the other hand, is neither of these things. Just like how a futon converts from a terrible uncomfortable couch to a terrible uncomfortable
True.
bed, the strode is the futon of transportation. It is a street that is designed like a road, and in doing so, it fails at being good at either one. The strode fails at being
Depends
a
on the
street.
futon.
There are many driveways to businesses and homes like you'd find on a street, but mixed with multiple highway-sized lanes. This mixes high speeds with many points of conflict. Watch out for this white car turning, and this cyclist. Are there any cars coming out of these driveways?
Yeah.
Unlike a street,
The fucking driveways are the scariest because you're going fast down one of those roads where it's literally just driveways straight to the road. Driveways straight to the road. They're insane out here in Seattle where you're going high speeds in these curvy roads. There are 2 lanes through the hills and like there's just a cliff on one side and people have their garages. And literally the garage door is flush with the lines that signal the edges of the road. Like they come out of their garage and they're instantly in the road. I don't know how they're able to check their for cars coming before they pull out of their garage. It's got to be like a gamble, you know? It's so scary and it's a high-speed road. People are coming at you fast. And you're just worried that one of those goddamn driveways is just going to open up and a car is going to pull out right in front of you while you're going 60 down that road.
strodes are hostile to people outside of a car. There are lots of motor vehicles and speeds are high, so walking or cycling feels uncomfortable and dangerous. There are long distances between places, and there are often large parking lots that need to be crossed before getting anywhere.
Oh my god. Dude, look at an American city towards like somewhere between where it's all skyscrapers in the downtown and the suburban sprawl, and just look at the business area where it's just gray. That gray isn't road, it's just gray parking lot. So much land in America is just dedicated to asphalt parking lot. It's insane.
And it's basically impossible to cross the strode except by walking to a traffic signal and waiting.
Yep. And they're so far apart. Okay, traffic signals are scary too. Like crossing those things is terrifying because like people don't necessarily they blow lights all the time. Like you could get hit. You're just kind of hoping they follow the rules and you're running across the crosswalk. And those crosswalks can literally be miles apart. There have been cases where it's like, so I can either there is a road that turns into where I need to go, and I'm across the street, and I could run across 6 lanes of traffic that's going high speed with like barely any brakes in it and possibly get picked up by a cop for jaywalking, or I can go to one of 2 crosswalks that are equidistantly a mile from this road that leads to where I need to go. That for me right now is just across the street, 6 lanes of traffic, but I have to walk a mile in either direction to get to the crosswalk to then walk another mile back to the road that goes down to my house. I've been in that situation before. Ugh, God, I hate Florida. Not Florida. Well, in that case it was Florida, but I hate American car culture.
The signs are large and meant to be read while driving, which feels really out of scale if you're walking there. And often trees have been removed from the clear zone, making the environment even more uninviting if you're not in a car. Somehow, though, painted bicycle gutters are still okay in the clear zone. Traffic engineers are concerned about drivers hitting a tree. Hitting a cyclist is expected.
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
This is clearly a place for cars, so it's unsurprising that pretty much every...
To be fair, in America, cyclists do tend to be massive assholes, but to be fair, they have to share their lanes with cars. Because, we very rarely will there be an independent bike lane. Like, you have to be in a pretty progressive city that's pushed for that hard for that to be a thing to expect. They're not very common, sadly.
Everyone drives here. Trust me, it sucks to walk down this strode.
Yep. Scary,
but these
too.
environments
Dangerous.
are ugly anyway. Nobody cares about these places, and nobody wants to spend any time here. Cities in the US and Canada are covered in terrible non-places like this. Places you go because you have to, not because you want to. Nobody actually sits and watches the world go by on this bench.
Nope.
But the
They're
stroke
sitting there
fails at
waiting
being
for
a
like
road too.
someone to pick them up if
The
anything.
lanes are wide and there are a lot of them. You're surrounded by asphalt, but you can't actually
It's so
get
ugly.
anywhere quickly like you can with a road.
America, I feel like a lot of this is the idea that America's just so big that we've decided that, like, we're fine with most of the land being resigned to ugliness. Like, and it's so shameful. You know, we have so much land, but we just decide, you know what? Yeah, let's dedicate literally thousands of square miles of it to parking lots.
There are cars constantly changing lanes and going in and out of the strode, slowing down traffic and introducing many points of conflict that require drivers to constantly slow down to avoid a collision. Traffic volumes can be quite high on stroads because there are no viable alternatives to driving. Distances are too far to walk and it's too unsafe to cycle, and since public transit gets stuck in traffic anyway, only the poor and the desperate will take the bus. So everyone drives.
There are bus routes near me that I could take to get to places potentially faster or easier, but like the idea of taking the bus has like deterred me from even doing that. Yeah, so much lag. Wait, is there really? Is there lag right now on the stream, or is it just our D3 length 2032? Okay, it's just one person. All right.
But because there are so many crossroads, entrances, and exits to the strode, traffic lights are required, meaning drivers are constantly stopping at red lights.
Yep.
And because speeds are high, light timings need to be very long, leading to traffic signal-induced congestion. Nobody is getting
Lots of
anywhere
traffic.
quickly on a strode. All of these elements make stroads unsafe as well, and the majority of fatal crashes
so
within cities happen
dangerous.
on stroads. They are especially dangerous to
I've
people
not taken the
walking and
monorail,
cycling.
no.
The wide and straight design of highways were designed that way to make them safe for high-speed traffic. But the strode to hell is paved with good intentions.
The strode to hell.
On a strode, these
That
wide
was a good
highway-like
pun.
designs encourage drivers to drive quickly. But combining that with traffic turning in and out of driveways and lots of four-way junctions,
And, like, the insane thing is you've got all these businesses that are, like, they're set up in such a way that, like, you just suddenly see a sign for something that you might be into, right? Like, how many times have you been driving or been a passenger in the car and you're driving down one of these stroads and there's, like, a McDonald's or something ahead, and the person ahead of you clearly just decided at the last second they want to get McDonald's, and then just, without even changing their fucking blinker to signal where they're, you know, which way they're turning, just veers into the McDonald's in front of you at a much slower speed. That happens. Maybe it's more of a Florida thing. You know, I've seen it a lot in Florida, but that shit is common because people just last second decide they want to pull into one of these parking lots, and there's really just, it's just a lane, and then suddenly the parking lot. I'm lucky if they're in the right lane. Yeah, they'll just suddenly swerve into the lane to get, yeah. People are bad drivers. You gotta drive safe.
makes this the most dangerous type of urban driving possible. This is an inherently unsafe way to design a road, and is part of the reason why the US has the most dangerous roads of any developed country. For example, during the coronavirus lockdowns in the first 9 months of 2020, car volumes in the US dropped significantly. But despite an estimated 355 billion fewer miles driven, fatal crashes per mile actually increased by up to 34%.
Huh.
This brings us to the sad
You know
truth
why?
that the
Guess what it was? Guess what it was? The people who are on the road and going outside during COVID, Republicans. It meant there were just reckless Republicans on the road, being reckless Republicans with each other, getting into crashes with each other. That's funny.
The only reason these unsafe American stroads aren't killing even more people regularly is because they're usually so jammed up with traffic that drivers can't get going fast enough to kill each other. And finally, stroads are really expensive. Because stroads are built to a highway standard, their lanes are very wide and there are never less than 4 lanes. Plus there's normally extra space for shoulders and clear zones at the side of the road too.
Yeah, true.
Because stroads try to be streets, there are many entrances and exits, so many turning lanes are required. But because of the high speeds, turning lanes are much longer than on a street, taking up even more space. And as traffic increases even more, due to traffic entering and exiting the strode, the city will install another traffic signal for $750,000. All of this means
Oh
that a
my
strode is
God.
much bigger than a road that would carry the same amount of
America is
traffic,
so bad at
and
managing
significantly
car
larger than
congestion.
a street that would
It's
have the same
embarrassing.
number of businesses and houses along it. As the size of the strode increases, there are several other costs incurred. High-speed strodes need to be flat, so the area that needs to be graded increases. Land may need to be purchased from residents to widen the strode and destroy their property values. By the way, do you think this girl is waiting to cross this 5-lane strode? Flood protection infrastructure becomes much more expensive due
I've
to
been
the
there.
impermeable surfaces. And there's a huge amount of asphalt and traffic control systems to maintain. And of course, because everyone drives, large parts of the landscape need to be dedicated to parking lots, meaning
Yep.
everything is inherently spread out and low density.
Everything's
Parking
gray.
lots don't employ anyone, and they don't earn much tax revenue either.
And the worst thing too is when you're trying to walk to a business and you don't drive, and you have to walk alongside like a quarter mile of parking lot for every business. Like there's like a chain of businesses next to each other, and there's a quarter mile of parking lot between each of them. They have to walk through just to get to the businesses themselves.
A strode environment is significantly less financially productive than a street, but with significantly more infrastructure. The result is a mix of high cost per area maintenance expenses combined with low value per acre tax
This is a
revenue,
very good video.
which makes these strode environments a net negative for cities. These places are literally putting American cities on the strode to financial ruin, and they're doing it while being
That pun
dangerous,
keeps getting me.
ugly, and ultimately ineffective at actually moving people. The strode fails at every metric, but it's the default setting for transportation design almost everywhere in the US and Canada. So what's the alternative?
Canada too, huh?
Well, Strongtowns advocates for one of two things. First, you can convert a strode into a road. This means limiting access to the strode, accessing businesses and neighborhoods from side streets.
I like that.
Painted bicycle gutters need to be removed because moving vehicles is the primary objective of a road. People can still walk or cycle, but these paths need to be completely separated from the flow of traffic. In this way, the strode becomes a road, a high-speed connection between two places.
And a big part of this that would be so big, and I think I saw this, they did this in Texas. When I went to Texas for the debate event that I did, I think it was last year, yeah. I like on the way back to the airport, we were in the Uber car, and I was looking around just at the houses, like just trying to get a look at the city in Texas we were in. I forget what city it was. I think it was like, does anyone in chat know what city it was that event was hosted in? I don't even remember. Houston, Austin, Galveston. There's so many fucking Texan cities. I think it was Austin. Yeah, it was Austin, Texas. Okay, yeah. So yeah, went to Austin, and they had these little side streets that were going alongside the main strodes, like what you're used to in American City, and that was where all like the led to the businesses and the houses and everything. And it was really cute. I liked it a lot, and that's really all I thought of it at the time. But yeah, that's a really good idea, because when you really think about it, with America, there's so many people who are going long distances regularly, like on the road at any given time in like a patch of America. There's people that are like, so many people on road trips, so many people going out of town, so many people crossing town. So there's just a lot of travel that's going through the town, but not between places in the town. Does that make sense? And I feel like separating the travel that is not going to the town from place to place within the town from the people who are passing through is really big for helping to keep traffic down in a certain area. There's a really good CGP Grey video as well about the highway markers in America and how they work and how you can use them, like read them. Like they're numbered based on what direction they head, like north, south, east, or west. It's very interesting. And they're a
The
grid.
other alternative is to turn the strode into a street. For this, the lanes need to be narrowed and parking needs to be moved to the curb or behind buildings, and the buildings themselves need to be built closer to the street. Everything needs to be brought down to a human scale, making it inviting to people and getting more value from the space available.
It's wild to me, the idea that kids have to be driven to school. How do you not have a school in almost every neighborhood? That's wild. Yeah, schools are generally pretty rare. Like, you don't really see them around everywhere. I mean, they are everywhere because, like, everyone needs to be within a certain distance of one, but there are plenty of kids in America that are within, that are further than, like, a 20-minute drive from their school. Like, when I was, in middle school, it was about a 15-minute drive away from school because I lived kind of rurally at the time. So yeah, there are a lot of kids that are that far from school, and sometimes they're too far for the bus to even pick them up, so they have to either walk or their parents have to take them to school, no matter what.
This isn't a hypothetical, and we don't have to imagine what this would look like, because the Netherlands has already done it, just with 3 types of infrastructure instead of the 2 proposed by strong towns. You will almost never find a strode here, because in the 1990s, the Dutch adopted the concept of sustainable traffic safety. And one of the key pillars of this program was that every road and street in the Netherlands has to be classified and designated as one of the following 3 options.
Oh.
The first is a stroomweg, which is pretty straightforward. It is a motorway or highway. I think everyone is familiar with these, so I won't spend too much time on it, but the important thing here is that there are no traffic controls. Cars enter and exit through merge lanes, and you will never find a traffic light or roundabout on a stroomweg.
Cool. So it's
Highways
like a highway.
should also go around cities and never through cities.
Yes,
I'm
please.
looking at you, Cincinnati.
Yes.
Actually, that's not fair, because basically all American cities did this. Thankfully, the plan to do this to Amsterdam was unsuccessful. Moving one level down is the Gebiedsontsluitingsweg, the distributor road.
Okay.
These are the connectors between highways and streets. There may be entrances and exits to other streets and roads,
Can we just do the
but
English
driveways
name?
to houses or businesses are avoided as much as possible. And if traffic controls are necessary, then roundabouts are preferred, unless traffic volumes require a traffic light. I'm going to refer to these as roads.
Road.
Finally, there's the Erftoegangsweg, the neighborhood access street.
Oh, I love
These
these.
are the end
These are so
destinations
cute.
for journeys.
These are so
the
cute.
places where people live, work, shop,
love
relax,
these.
and so on. I'm going to refer
We don't
to these
have
as
these in America.
streets.
Well, we do, but not many.
Streets are designed to be low speed with a speed limit of no more than 30 kilometers per hour, and they almost never have more than one motor vehicle lane per direction. In many cases, vehicle speeds are slow enough that separated bicycle infrastructure is not required, though bicycle paths may still be used to purposefully narrow the street, constraining the space
Not a
available
lot of this in
for motor
America.
vehicles.
But it's so nice, isn't
The
it?
street network is designed to discourage through traffic by cars, either through
like-
traffic calming or by
I wouldn't even mind walking a little further than I do now if it was through something so pleasant as this, where I don't feel like at every turn, it's so frustrating that I can feel as I'm walking along the sidewalk, the cars whizzing by at like 80 miles an hour. I can feel like the wind from it. It's like knocking me over as I walk by because like the car was like half a foot away from me as it flew by me. It's so miserable, the car culture.
explicitly blocking cars while still allowing walking, cycling, and public transit to take the most direct route. I've talked about this before in my invisible infrastructure video, where I show a typical trip by bicycle through the street network compared to the very different route by road that is taken when driving. Once you learn about these 3 types of road in the Netherlands, what I'm unofficially calling highways, roads, and streets, it's really interesting to drive around and see which type you're on. This is a street. This is a road. This is a street. This is a road. This is a road with streets on either side to access houses. Since this is a relatively recent concept, only implemented about 30 years ago, the best place to see this in action is in newer developments.
And in Europe.
Here we are driving on a road outside the town of Nieuwleusen. This road is
Well, this is
designed to
Europe
move
generally,
vehicles,
but yeah.
so there is no direct access to adjacent properties. The homes and businesses are accessed by streets on the right and left side, and the road is mostly accessed by roundabout. As we exit the roundabout into this industrial park, the road turns into a street, where cars and trucks can access the warehouses and industrial facilities safely and efficiently without disrupting traffic on the road.
That's so
It's also
much
very
better
interesting
than
to
what
see
we
where one type
do.
turns into another.
Why? Oh!
This is clearly a street, a residential street in Amsterdam. There is parking on either side, and there are many side streets branching off. There are no traffic lights or stop signs. Speeds are low here, so intersections are unmarked, and you give priority to any vehicle coming from the right. I've talked about this before in my video about stop signs. This street has a brick road surface, speed bumps, and other traffic calming measures to slow down traffic. The speed limit is 30 kilometers an hour, and bicycle and motor vehicle traffic is mixed. But as we travel down this street, we come to a set of traffic lights, and here is where this street becomes a road. The bicycle path becomes totally separated from motor vehicle traffic. There's no more street parking. The road surface is made of smooth asphalt, and there's a median separating the traffic lanes. There are buildings on either side, but crucially, they cannot be accessed by this road because turning traffic would be inefficient and unsafe. As we travel down this road a little farther, we can see here it turns back into a street.
Okay, I wasn't really able to pay attention too well there because, you know, that werewolf was very close to eating my supple booty. Okay, let's get back to it.
Here's another example in the suburb of Amstelveen. The right-of-way is about 22 meters, which in the US or Canada would be at least a 4-lane road with center turning lane. But despite the space available, there's only one lane of motor vehicle traffic in each direction here. And the lanes are narrow, which encourages drivers to drive slower. Single-lane roads are much safer because cars changing lanes introduces points of conflict between vehicles, and they are easier for pedestrians to cross. This also frees up space on both sides for car parking, a bicycle path, and a sidewalk.
The only real roads you'll find like that are that chill usually in America are suburban streets. That's about it. Like when you're in like a really quiet suburban street, you might see like something like this. That's pretty much all there is like this in America.
There are multiple other streets intersecting with this one, bringing traffic in and out of the street. A few meters along, this street starts to turn into a road. Here you can see that access to the houses and parking on the right-hand side are provided by a small side street running parallel to the road, so that through traffic does not compete with drivers going in and out of parking spaces. Travel along this road a little farther, and the street has completely turned into a road. There is a stoplight, multiple lanes of motor vehicle traffic, and an entrance to a highway. The bicycle path is two-way and isolated completely from the road.
Oh god, that looks really scary to cross, but at least it's got like a lot of walking room on the side, you know? And I think that's a bridge for pedestrian travel. I think it might be. I love those. Okay, one of my favorite things are fucking bridges over busy streets for making pedestrian travel safer. Instead of having those goddamn crosswalks or just expecting people to make it across themselves, I love those bridges. They're just a bridge. It's always there. Just use that to cross the road. It's safer. Hey, yo, thank you for the raid, Alec Gunter. I appreciate that. 54 people from you. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I don't really read Twitch chat very much, but if you want to come over to my website, that's where my community and my chat reading is most active. So, yeah. What the fuck was that noise? Oh, I think the guy's turning back into a human. Sun must be coming up.
A little farther along, this road becomes quite interesting. Here, there are several houses, but instead of being accessed directly, as they would be on a strode, they're accessible by a two-way side street, which was made purposefully narrow to slow down drivers.
Smart.
This also provides a safe alternative for people cycling.
No one's pulling out into the like really busy road where everyone's going at high speeds. No one has to worry about pulling out of any driveways or garages out into like high speed traffic and having to like time it perfectly so they don't get T-boned.
The road itself is only 2 lanes for car traffic, with turning lanes when necessary. One lane has been reserved as a bus lane, and there is a two-way cycling path as well. It's also interesting to note that because dedicated bus lanes and bicycle paths are much more efficient at moving people than car lanes, this road configuration can actually transport more people than a typical strode. The Netherlands didn't change this overnight, and this transition to roads and streets is not totally complete. There are still some streets here that carry too much through traffic, for example, but at least they're usually only 2 lanes wide. This change has happened slowly, with street and road redesigns spread out over the past 30 years. The first step, though, was identifying that there was a problem with...
I love those little, like, trolleys. They're so cute. They've got them in New Orleans. They've got them in Miami a lot. Not really in Tampa are there many trolleys, but they've got them here, too, in Seattle. And it's so cool. I love trolleys. They're so cool. Trolleys are cool.
Road safety and road productivity, and changing the design standards to match.
I like they've got them in the Keys too. They've got trolleys in the Keys in Key West. I love the trolleys in Key West. They're so cool.
Time to face the fact that designing strodes as both a high-speed thoroughfare and a destination simply doesn't work. Strodes are dangerous and expensive. They destroy walkability. They make cycling dangerous and infeasible, and they don't work for drivers either. The US and Canada need to rethink the traffic engineering manuals that define urban spaces and start building productive streets and efficient roads. Then they can get on the road to recovery and benefit from fewer traffic deaths, more viable alternatives to driving, less traffic, and more financially productive cities.
Yay.
It's the end of the road for Strodes. Good riddance.
Pro good things, anti-bad things.
I'd like to thank my supporters on Patreon who pay me to get this show on the Strode. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to bonus videos, visit patreon.com/notjustbikes.
Yeah, I think I'd heard Vosh shout out this channel. I think he might have had this guy on before. Really like the channel a lot. I'm definitely going to be watching more of Not Just Bikes' videos in the future. That was a really good video. Well spoken, well put together, well edited, well informed, and used good examples with just relatable examples for God. I hate the fact that there's so many high-speed roads here in America where you're expected to pull out of your driveway into it. That's the scariest thing for me, because it's scary for the people driving at high speeds on that road trying to get places, and it's scary for you who's trying to pull out of your driveway. It's dangerous for both parties involved. No one benefits from this arrangement other than lazy planners, I guess. I don't know. Insurance companies. Yeah, I do really hope that we start to see sort of a revolution in the way that cities are planned and the way that roads are built and planned out, because just the solution that America defaults on of just let's just add more lanes. More lanes will solve the problem. More lanes, more lanes, more lanes, more lanes. Let's just keep on adding lanes. It doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't. It doesn't. It just means more merging, and merging slows down traffic, which causes congestion, which means more traffic. It doesn't help. It helps to a certain degree, but it's a Band-Aid solution. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it.